My name is Morrow, and I'm old enough to know better, but I spent most of my time in the woods when I was a kid because that was something we could afford. And as you do that, you learn a lot of wrong ways to do things, but eventually you sift out till you end up with the right ways. So what we've laid up a fire here, put the fire, and we're going to light it on top. And these little curlies are birch bark. When they were separated out, they wanted to curl up tight. So we're going to light it on this side because it's the windward side.
How is the design of the fire going to make it smokeless? How does it work?
Mostly because we want to light it so the heat will radiate down into the wood. If I light it on the bottom, all the heat's going to go up there and it'll make combustible gas come out of this side if I light it on the bottom. But if I light it on top, the heat will radiate down into it and it'll make combustible gas as it goes. So we'll try this here. No smoke, sure.
Well, you lit the leaves, which probably have a lot of moisture in them. The birch bark and such probably will have much less.
Always taught when we were kids to light it on the bottom on the windward side. So then the fire goes through and makes combustible gas, but not next to the flame. Well, that's not very smokeless.
Well, I'm wondering if the oils in the birch bark are, because that's the birch bark is what's giving off the black smoke. It must be something in that. You told a story about how water-resistant birch bark is before.
Well, one time for a demonstration about that, we used to make firebugs to carry in your pack sack, so if you're out in the woods in the wet weather, you take 5 matches and tie a string around them, leave a string handle on it, dunk them down in a can of melted paraffin, and then you just throw it in your pack sack and you light the whole thing at once to start a fire. And to demonstrate this one time, we took birch bark, which I told them was waterproof, and we dunked it. First you had to, one of the scouts take a drink of water out of the bucket so they know it wasn't kerosene, and then dunk the birch bark and the firebug match right into the bucket of water we just drank out of, and take it out, shake the surplus water off, light it up, and away it goes. You got your fire going. But the fire will radiate down in and make combustible material, combustible gas.
Yeah, once the wood is actually burning, it's not giving off any noticeable smoke.
Usually we try to put enough crisscross of heavy pieces on the bottom that it's going to last all day anyway, for as long as you need your fire. Also in a windy place we'll put it in a Dakota hole. We dig a couple of holes about that big around, about that far apart, and so the fire, you got a hole here and a hole here, and you reach down there and dig them together, and you put your materials to burn in this one, and then reach down and light it in that side. The draft goes down that way and it comes up, and the breeze takes all the project combustion stuff away from where you are. And what it does, the Dakota Indians did that to keep from setting the prairie on fire. And then you can put a tripod right over the top of the fire, tie a hitch around it to tie the tripod together, put a taut line hitch on the line, and you can put a bucket of water and run it right down next to the fire wherever you need it, so you can have hot water for cleaning mess kits and things all day. We have quite a bit of shagbark hickory in this. That's the outer bark of a hickory tree that's peeling off. And it has a high heat value about equal to Illinois soft coal, pound for pound. This would be 12,000 BTU per pound. And it has a good smell to it.
Call it paper birch for nothing.
We just lit a piece of birch bark and noted the amount of black smoke it gave off. It's almost a black oily color. That's the source of all the smoke when we first started the fire. It was not the firewood itself, which burned virtually smokeless. It was the ignition material that, even though it's an awesome fire starter, it does have some oils that burn black. In fact, you can see the oils burning out underneath the birch bark right there.
Okay, now that we have a fire going, we have to think about when it's time to put it out and how to handle that, because you do need to be very careful to be sure the fire is completely out and buried as much as possible, and that a breeze is not going to come along and spread it and burn down the woods.